How to repot a Monstera. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new, my name is Rose, my pronouns are she, her, and this is more of a beginner video aimed at people who want to repot their plant but don't know how. This is because, actually I have quite a few friends who have some plants but aren't obsessed with them like me and many of you. So I thought I would show it. And the first step, of course, is to have a Monstera. This is my Monstera deliciosa large form sport variegated. But it's the same for any Monstera. Any deliciosa Monstera will be the same story, except that the large form, which I have here, doesn't really need a moss pole because the nodes grow very close together. If that doesn't make sense, the leaves also are very close together. Most plants that you see in garden centers or that people have in their house are small form, as it's called. That doesn't mean that the leaves don't get big. It just means that their way of growing is slightly different. If you want to learn more about how to differentiate the two, then I can definitely make a video about that. For this one, we're just going to talk about 1, have a Monstera, 2, how do you know if it needs repotting? And that you can usually see. Oh, okay, this was not planned. The roots are unpaid actors. So if your pot has drainage holes, which I highly recommend, then you can get a situation like this, which is telling me, hello, I needed a repot like 5 months ago, but I was in a home renovation, so all the plants got a little bit ignored. If your pot doesn't have holes in the bottom, for example, like this one, I combine the two. So mine doesn't drip onto my windowsill. I have an outer pot and an inner pot. That works the best for me. If yours is currently in a pot without drainage, you can carefully try and lift the root bulb out of the pot, and then you can see whether it's a big clump of roots, which means it would like a slightly bigger home, or if it's just soil and it's falling apart as well. If the soil is falling apart, that usually means there is no need for a bigger pot just yet. Step 3, get the plant out of the pot. We already started talking about that for a closed pot. How beautiful is this, by the way? This is the Elho Ocean collection that I absolutely love. How are we gonna get this one out of the pot is a little bit of a question because I left it too long. So even if you just get a few, I'm making a mess as well. Even if you start to see just a few roots coming out, it's a lot easier if you repot then. So I'm going to try and untangle these. If yours doesn't want to come out, it helps to massage the pot a little bit with the people's elbow, as Crystal would say. Ooh, soil is going everywhere, so that it releases from the pot. It's handy to put some kind of thing underneath where the soil will go. For me, it's a little bit too late for that, but okay. We're gonna try, and pull it out. Come on, buddy. Yes, good job. Let go, let go. Yes, perfect. So this is what a clump of roots looks like. It's actually nice to show you a few rotting ones as well. If you look here, this black bit, those are rotted roots. But it's just the tip, as you can see here. The white is healthy again. So it's not a lot. Most of these look really, really healthy. By the way, if you did break off a few roots as you were trying to get it out of the pot, that's fine. They can handle missing a few roots. I'm gonna untangle this as well a little bit because it's so compact. If yours looks less compact, or if you're scared to do this, you can for sure leave them as is. But I like to remove some of the old soil as well. I guess what are we at now? Step 4 maybe? Try and massage loose some of the old soil and the roots. One of my tricks to growing Monstera happily is to guide this was an aerial root here, can you see it? To guide those down into the soil so they become soil roots, and that will help the plant. See, there's another fat one here. Look at this. That's grown into the soil, and then it supports the plant more than just dangling next to the pot. Wow, I'm gonna have to clean the house after this. No surprise to anyone, probably. Anytime I repot, I make a mess. I wonder if there's people who can keep their house clean while they repot. If you're one of those people, tell me in the comments what I should do differently. Probably do this outside because it's actually a nice day today. But I have a headache and the sun is burning, so I want the shade. Soil in the face? Sure. This is a challenge. I'll include some footage of what it looks like when you just go for a bigger pot and leave the plant and the root bulb alone. That is a lot easier. And sometimes this, what I'm doing now, is not necessary at all. So if you're very new and this scares you, then don't be scared. It's gonna be okay. Let's see if we can split them. Okay. Okay, my laptop is covered in soil. Should I get a bigger pot? Yes. 1 second. This was the pot I was gonna use. This is the pot I'm gonna use now. It's just a little bit wider, which is gonna help the two plants fit in there together. So, whether you did the whole roots thing or you just have the plant unpotted and you've decided it needs a repot. Step 5. Okay, I'm not so good at counting, but I am good at plant care, so bear with me. Monstera are plants that grow up trees in the jungle. So if you just use potting soil from the garden center, it's likely gonna be too compact and probably hold on to too much moisture. And that will kill the roots. That will make the roots rot because they cannot breathe. They're used to being in the open air. So I like to make a mix of 3 things. Or you can buy a pre-made mix if you want it to be a little bit easier. You can use my code PLANTWITHROSE with Soil Ninja. They have a specific Monstera mix. So that is super, super handy if you're in Europe or the UK. Or if you already have some soil, you can get bark. I like to use Pokon Excellent bark. This is not sponsored. And then I also mix in the white bits that you see here. Those are perlite, which you can buy in smaller bags from either Soil Ninja or your local garden center. I mix it 1/3 each. Then it looks something like this. Just get used to it and try things out as well. It's up to you. If you forget to water a lot, it's probably different from when you like to water every day. Who likes to water every day? I don't know. So then, in the pot, we're gonna put a bottom layer of the soil. Woo! That was definitely too much. And definitely I will not be drinking my water anymore. It's a mess already now, so might as well not care about the house. Then I check with the roots. With Monstera, I like to give them a pole. This is I think it's like a coconut fiber pole, which I like to use for plants that don't really need the support, like these large farm Monstera. They will crawl and grow without a moss pole, but this is just going to give them a little bit of support to grow upwards because I have a lot of space up and not so much sideways. So I'm going to want to plant the plants and the pole together in a way that both of the plants can lean on the moss pole, possibly even, do you see these little nubbins here? Those are the start of aerial roots. They can grow onto or even into this pole. If you use a moss pole, this I made for my flat pack with sphagnum moss. You can order the flat pack, so the plastic and the metal grid thingy, from moss poles on Instagram. Simon, they're amazing. I've been using them for years, but they are, in my experience, not really supportive enough for a big plant like this. This will get the roots to grow in, and it looks actually amazing on my yellow variegated Monstera. The roots are all over the place. It looks so cool because it's see-through plastic. You can see what is happening. But for a bigger plant like this, I now just use this one like I did on my Thai constellation as well. It's just a little bit of support and helping the plants grow upwards. So we're gonna grab both of the plants. This is hands full type situation. I'm gonna stand. It's a little bit easier. And I like to roll up the roots if they don't fit very well. You can loop them in circles so that they fit at the bottom. Oh, I broke off one of the roots. If it's broken off like this, I chop it off because that's just gonna rot in the soil. And those are pretty chunky roots, so that's a lot of rot that potentially can happen. All the roots in together. It's a little bit crowded, but they're gonna make it work together forever. Girls forever. I always need more than 2 hands for this. Filling up the sides with the soil mix, trying to really get it on all the sides and a little bit underneath the root ball if you can, and all the way up to the level of the pot. This is not enough soil. And then this moss ball is very easy to stick in, so we're just gonna stick it in. And it's handy to tie up the plants to the moss pole so they stay balanced and they know where to grow. You can use elastic bands, you can cut up pantyhose. I like to use plant Velcro. Very satisfying. You can buy this on Amazon. I'll link it in the description below as well. It's on my Amazon storefront. And I'm just gonna loop this around the stems, not too close to the new growth, because then you can squish the new growth, and not super tight, just enough to guide them this way and also to hold the moss pole in place. But that's it. After repotting, I always water. You could also water with some rooting hormone stuff, or I have a fertilizer that has a root complex type of thing that helps the plant to root more or to settle into its new environment. Now I just have to find a new outer pot that fits this huge inner pot, because this pot again has little holes at the bottom. Whenever you water these plants, you can thoroughly water them. It's actually really good, but make sure that there's no layer of water left in the outer pot. Or if you have your plant in a pot that doesn't have holes, you have to be a little bit more careful. You can use a water meter. You have to check though if it works on the soil you are using, because sometimes the soil is so chunky that it doesn't work properly. I usually only water my aroids when it gets down into 3. So pretty dry. Oh, and if your plant is already really big, like some of my family members just recently did, you can lay the plant on its side carefully, and definitely do this with 2 people probably, then do the whole process. Popping it back in, you can start to angle it upwards again and then lift it into the new pot. Hopefully that helps to make this process a little bit easier for you. Maybe you have already done this a million times and this video was just entertaining to watch, I don't know. Either way, thank you so much for being here. If you have any more questions, definitely let me know in the comments below and I will make a video with the answer, if I know the answer. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe below if you haven't already. You can also join my YouTube and Patreon memberships for extra content and a monthly Zoom call. And I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for being here. Bye!